Hey everybody, it's Kelly. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Therapist. Today I want to talk to you about a phenomenon that came from a really good place and actually is detrimental to people and the relationships we're trying to build. When people tell their stories of coming out, when people talk about how their families didn't respond well to the fact that they are trans, to the fact that they are non-binary, to the fact that they're gay. When people tell those stories, there is this phenomenon that has started to happen. I know it came from a really good place, y'all. I really do. But the phenomenon was that strangers then on the internet would say, well, I'm your family now.
Ignore them. I'm your mom now.
I'm your dad now.
I'm your grandma now.
I'm your sister now.
I'm your brother now. Forget about your family. They're not worth it anyway.
But this whole thing drives me so crazy because that is not an appropriate response to give someone when they're telling you or the whole world or any number of people in between, when they're telling you that their family has abandoned them, your response of, I'm your family now, only makes you feel better. No matter how much you like your family, we grow up with a certain expectation that our family is supposed to always be there. Whether that story comes from a religious upbringing or the things that your families have said to one another.
Blood is thicker than water.
Did any of you guys hear that growing up? I absolutely did. The stories that families tell themselves and each other about the culture of their family and being there for each other and forgiving each other and all that sort of thing, they also come from a really great place. Until someone does something that goes so drastically against the imagined moral fiber of someone in a family, and then that person is removed from said family. That experience is trauma. When someone experiences their family rejecting them, they are in a state of trauma. They're actively reassessing what their identity is, because for most of us, the family you grew up with is distinctly tied to your identity. When you let someone into who you are and tell them the truth of what's inside of you, and they reject that truth, that is trauma. When we tell someone that they don't need to worry about it, all of a sudden we are discounting their trauma. Let me explain to you what happens when we do that. A while ago, very, very early in my channel's life cycle, I did a video on what do we do when a client cries. And in that video, I talked about why we do not hand tissues to people. We don't hand tissues to people because when we do, we stop their process. Best practice is to have tissues out in reach of someone and a trash can visibly nearby so that they can take a tissue, they can do what they need, and they can remove the tissue from their presence without really interrupting their flow, okay? Beyond that, you stay out of it. As a therapist, you don't get involved in handing them tissues unless they ask for one. If they ask for one, then by all means, give them one. But when I have a client who's in front of me crying and I reach over and I hand them a tissue, the idea is your crying has to stop. That's what the tissue's for, right? Or your face needs to be fixed, or you need to wipe your nose or wipe your tears. Whatever it is that they're going to understand that motion to be has stopped their process of discovery. That's a problem. The other part of it that people don't talk about very often is what is going on for the therapist in that moment that we decide to hand them the tissue. And usually it's because we know in that moment we're completely helpless to actually do anything. That this person needs to walk through that moment and feel that pain, not run away from it, not ignore it, not wipe it off and move on. They need to be in that moment. And our job is to sit in those moments with them. I would submit that as a human being, your job is to sit in those moments with people too. And stop trying to just brush it off by saying, well, I'm your family now. Also, that sounds creepy.
I'm your family now.
No, you're not. No amount of love you're going to give that person is going to erase the pain of the rejection from their family. Why would you think that coming in and giving them a big warm fuzzy hug to assuage your pain would help theirs? These videos are hard to do because they piss people off, and I get that. That's fine. But if you're angry in hearing this, I want you to take a couple moments and understand why. Are you angry because you've done this and you feel badly about it? Okay, so you feel badly about it. So what? You will survive feeling badly about it. Experience it. Feel it. Let yourself be in that for a moment and then know how to do better now. Again, yes, this comes from a place of wanting to just embrace somebody and to share their pain and to ease their pain, but that's not your job. That is no one's job. It was the job of their family to support the person they claim to love, no matter what. For a family member to feel offended by the fact that another family member has come out to them is arrogant. It's an understanding that the expectation that you had of the relationship is not being fulfilled, and you're upset with the other person because they're not fulfilling it. If you're in true relationship with someone, their job is never to fulfill your expectation of them. Their job is to continue to live into who they are, to continue to be more and more who they're going to be, and your job is to love them for that. It's one thing when someone is making questionable decisions. When things that they're doing are actively harming them, that's different. But what I'm talking about is just someone saying, hey, by the way, I'm gay, I'm trans, and this is my name, and these are my pronouns. Taking that as an offense to you is mind-boggling to me, that you would think that you have the right to dictate who someone else is. I see this playing out often with parents, specifically with moms. A lot of times moms with queer kids that can't imagine removing their relationship with their child from their lives just because their child let them know who they are, right? So we'll see it online where somebody's like, oh, my mom's not talking to me anymore, or
I've gone no contact with my family because of how they responded to me when I came out.
and then a mom of another queer kid says,
Well, I'm your mom now. What do you need? I've got you.
and that comes again from a good place, but all you're doing is basically telling them that this thing that they're feeling terrible about doesn't actually matter. The better thing to do, the more parental thing to do, if you will, would be to say, I am so sorry that you're going through this. Is there something that you need? Is there some way I can help you right now? Because when you don't ask what they need and you assume they just need someone to slip on in and fill that void, you again are trying to assuage your own guilt or your own fear or your own pain. The sharing of an emotion, especially a negative one, with another human is a sacred thing. That is an amazing opportunity that we get when someone lets us into their pain. Whether it's through a subreddit or a Facebook post or a conversation between two friends, someone allowing you into their pain and into their moment of confusion or sadness or fear, that's beautiful that you get to share that with them. Stop putting your own feelings into it because that's not about you. That's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all next week. And until then, take care of yourselves and each other.